Welcome to the deep dive. We take your sources, your research, our notes, and boil it all down for you. And today, our mission is, well, basically to give you a shortcut to really understanding the world of psychology.
It's a fascinating journey we're taking you on.
Yeah, we're going to look at where it all started, its modern uses, and also kind of demystify how psychologists actually figure things out.
The methods behind the madness, so to speak.
Exactly. So expect some, surprising facts, maybe a few aha moments, and we'll try to keep it light. All for you. Let's dive in.
Right. It's a huge field, and it really stretches way back. We're starting at the beginning, thinking about how we even started studying the mind scientifically.
Okay, so ground zero. What is psychology? The name itself helps, right? Greek roots.
That's right. Psyche, meaning mind, and logos, which is like study or knowledge.
So study of the mind. Simple enough.
Well, yes and no, because mind in psychology isn't just, thinking. It's everything. What we do, sure, but also what we think, feel, dream.
Yeah.
How we perceive things, the whole inner world.
Right. And for a long time, that was more philosophy than science. But then, Wilhelm Wundt enters the picture in the late 1800s. He's often called the founder of psychology as an experimental science. That feels like a big deal.
Oh, it was huge. A total paradigm shift. Before Wundt, the idea of measuring a thought or a feeling seemed kind of impossible. His lab in Germany, that was the first dedicated space for experimental psychology. It opened the door to actually collecting data on the mind.
And his main technique was introspection. Sounds a bit navel-gazy.
Well, yeah, it literally means looking inward. He'd have people focus on their immediate mental experiences like the sensation of seeing a color or the feeling of warmth and report it systematically.
Huh. How do you even measure that consistently?
That was the challenge. It was revolutionary, but really hard to standardize. Still, it got the ball rolling.
And Wundt, along with his student Titchener, they pushed this idea called structuralism, trying to map the mind's structure.
Exactly, like taking apart a clock to see how all the little gears and springs fit together. They wanted to identify the basic building blocks of mental experience.
But not everyone bought into that.
Not at all. Almost immediately, you had William James, a giant in American psychology championing functionalism. He wasn't interested in the parts so much as the purpose.
So why do we think? Why do we feel? How does it help us adapt?
Precisely. How does consciousness help us survive and navigate the world? That was James's focus. Much more practical, in a way.
Then things took another sharp turn with John Watson and behaviorism. This sounds pretty strict.
It was radical. Watson basically said, forget the inner stuff we can't see. Psychology, he insisted, should only study overt, observable behavior. If you can't see it and measure it, it's not science.
Wow. So no more thoughts or feelings allowed in the lab.
Pretty much, just stimulus and response. And B.F. Skinner really ran with that idea.
Skinner. Rewards and punishments, right?
He showed how powerfully our actions are shaped by consequences. Reinforcement makes a behavior more likely, punishment makes it less likely. It sounds simple, but it explains a lot about learning.
Okay, so we've got structure, function, observable behavior. But then there's Gestalt psychology. That sounds different again.
Very different. Max Wertheimer and others pushed back against breaking things down. They said the brain naturally organizes perceptions into meaningful wholes or patterns.
Like seeing a face. Not just eyes, nose, mouth.
Exactly. The whole is different from the sum of its parts. That's the core idea. We perceive patterns automatically.
And we can't talk early schools without Freud, obviously. Psychodynamic perspective. The unconscious.
Right. Freud took psychology into totally new territory. He argued that a huge part of our mind, the unconscious, is hidden from us, but drives our behavior, our dreams, our conflicts.
That internal struggle he talked about between impulses and suppression.
Between the id, ego, and superego, as he framed it. Hugely influential, still debated today, of course, but undeniably shaped how we think about the mind.
It's amazing how these different, sometimes clashing ideas built the foundation. So fast forward to now. How do these early schools influence psychology today? Or is it all new perspectives?
Oh, they're definitely still visible, but they've evolved, absolutely. Today, we generally talk about 6 major contemporary perspectives. And the behavioral one, still going strong.
But different from Watson.
Yeah, it's broader. It includes social cognitive theory now, so it's not just direct rewards and punishments, but also learning by watching others, thinking, expectations.
Like seeing a friend succeed at something might make you try harder.
Exactly. It brings cognition back into the behavioral picture, and this has led to really effective behavior therapy.
And Freud's ideas,
Yeah.
the psychodynamic view. still around.
Definitely. But maybe less focus on the basic drives now. You have neo-Freudians who emphasize things like self-awareness, conscious choices, relationships. It's a more, perhaps, ego-focused evolution.
Okay. Then there's the humanistic perspective. Maslow, Carl Rogers. That sounds more positive.
It is, generally. It really emphasizes free will and conscious choice. It focuses on our potential for growth, self-actualization, finding meaning. Our subjective experience is key here.
The opposite of being purely driven by the unconscious or the environment.
Right. It sees people as inherently striving towards becoming their best selves.
And the physiological perspective?
Yeah.
That's about the brain and biology, right?
Linking behavior and mental processes to biological stuff, genes, brain structures, hormones, neurotransmitters. It includes evolutionary psychology, too.
Which tries to explain why we have certain traits based on evolution.
Yeah, how things like mate selection or fear of snakes or even altruism might have helped our ancestors survive and pass on their genes. It's about the deep roots of our behaviors.
Then cognitive. That sounds like it's back to the mind itself.
It is. It focuses squarely on mental processes, how we acquire knowledge. Thinking, memory, problem solving, language, decision-making, like how the mind works as an information processor.
Okay, processing information. And the last one, sociocultural.
This one emphasizes the huge impact of our social and cultural contexts on behavior. We're not in a vacuum, right? Our families, communities, cultures, they shape everything from our values to how we express emotion.
See, you can't really understand a person without understanding their world.
That's the core message. It adds a crucial layer to the whole picture.
Wow, okay, so that's the different ways of thinking about psychology. Let's shift to the who, the psychologists themselves. What's the usual path to becoming one? Lots of school, I assume.
Definitely. It usually means getting a doctorate. A PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, is most common, but there's also the CSID, Doctor of Psychology, often more focused on clinical practice, and sometimes an AD, Doctor of Education.
Yeah, master's degrees.
Yep. For some areas like school psychology or IO, industrial organizational psychology, a master's can be the main degree.
And a range of jobs they do. It's huge, right? Not just therapists.
Oh, incredibly diverse. You have comparative psychologists studying animals, developmental, studying lifespan changes, social psychologists looking at group behavior. The list goes on.
You mentioned some emerging areas, too, like neuropsychologists. What exactly do they study? Brain behavior links.
Exactly. They might assess cognitive functions after a brain injury, study how diseases like Alzheimer's affect the brain, or research the neural basis of things like learning or emotion. It's a really booming field.
And geropsychologists, focusing on aging.
With populations aging worldwide, they focus on the psychological aspects of getting older memory, coping with loss, mental health, and later life. Very important work.
Forensic psychologists. That sounds like TV shows. What do they really do?
It's probably less dramatic, but still vital. They apply psychology to the legal system, maybe evaluating defendants' competency, consulting on jury selection, providing expert testimony on memory, working in corrections.
Okay, much more than just profiling. And sports psychologists, helping athletes.
Yeah, using psychology to enhance performance, manage anxiety, improve focus, team cohesion, mental skills training, basically.
It really does touch every area.
Yeah.
And the field itself is changing demographically.
It is. There's definitely progress needed for representation, but it's encouraging that I think the source said about 34% of early career psychologists are from racial or ethnic minority backgrounds now, so it's getting more diverse.
And a big shift in gender.
Huge. Women now earn about 3/4 of the doctorates in psychology, a massive change from the early days.
Okay, so we know the ideas, the people. Now, how do they actually do the research? Their toolkit. It all comes down to the scientific method, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's the foundation for gaining reliable knowledge. It's a process.
And the steps are usually ask a question.
Right. Develop a research question, then frame it as a specific, testable prediction, a hypothesis.
Then gather evidence.
Systematically gather evidence to see if the hypothesis holds up.
And finally, draw conclusions based on that evidence.
Exactly. It's a structured way to minimize bias and arrive at supported findings.
Okay, let's unpack some of those evidence-gathering methods. The case study, studying just one person or a few.
Yeah, it's an in-depth look. You gather tons of info through interviews, observation, records. Think of Jean Piaget, who developed his theory of cognitive development by intensely studying just a few children, including his own.
That sounds super detailed, but maybe not representative.
That's the main limitation. You get rich insights, but it's hard to know if what you find applies to everyone. Plus, memories can be faulty, people might not tell you everything, lacks rigorous control. Great for generating ideas, though.
Makes sense. Then there's the survey method, asking lots of people questions.
Right. Using structured interviews or questionnaires to gather info from a large group. You define your population, the whole group you care about.
Like all first-year college students.
For example. Then you select a smaller sample from that population. And ideally, you use random sampling.
Meaning everyone in the population has an equal chance of being picked.
Exactly. That helps ensure your sample actually looks like the larger population so you can generalize your findings more confidently.
But surveys have pitfalls too, right? People maybe don't answer honestly.
Definitely a challenge. There's social desirability bias,
Yeah.
people giving answers that make them look good or that they think the researcher wants to hear,
Mhm.
and volunteer bias. The people who agree to do the survey might be different in some important way from those who don't. Researchers try to account for these, but it's tricky.
So if you want to avoid asking directly and just see what people do, naturalistic observation.
Perfect. You just watch behavior unfold in its natural setting. Kids on a playground, shoppers in a mall, animals in the wild. You try to be unobtrusive.
But the observer themselves could be biased, couldn't they? See what they expect to see.
That's a real risk observer bias. To combat it, researchers might use multiple observers and check if their notes match up, or do random checks on the data recording. It needs careful procedures.
Okay. Now what about seeing how things are related, the correlational method?
This method looks at the relationship between two or more variables. How strongly are they linked, and in what direction?
And that's measured with a correlation coefficient, that number between -1 and +1?
Exactly. A positive number means as one variable goes up, the other tends to go up too, like studying and grades.
Okay.
A negative number means as one goes up, the other tends to go down, maybe like hours watching TV and fitness levels.
But
And the closer the number is to +1 or NACA's 1, the stronger the relationship. 0 means no relationship.
right. But this is where we get that famous warning. Correlation isn't causation.
Absolutely critical. Just because two things are related doesn't mean one causes the other. Maybe a third factor causes both. Or the relationship is just coincidence.
So it shows a link, but not why the link exists.
Precisely. But it's still super useful. It can predict outcomes, identify groups at risk, and point researchers towards things that might be worth investigating with experiments. It gives clues.
Okay, so if you want to pin down cause and effect, you need the experimental method.
That's the one. It's the only method that allows researchers to really explore cause and effect relationships with some confidence.
And how does it work? You manipulate something?
Yes. You systematically change one thing, the independent variable, and see if it has an effect on another thing, the dependent variable, all while keeping everything else controlled.
Controlled conditions. And you need really clear definitions, operational definitions.
You got it. Defining variables by exactly how they'll be measured. So anxiety isn't just a feeling. It might be defined as a score on a specific anxiety scale or heart rate increase. It makes things measurable and replicable.
And you always need a comparison group, right? A
Yep.
control group.
Essential. They don't get the treatment or manipulation. That way, you can be more sure that any changes in the experimental group are actually due to the independent variable you changed, not just time passing or something else.
How do you make sure the groups are equal to start with?
Random assignment. You randomly assign participants to either the experimental or the control group, like flipping a coin. This helps ensure any pre-existing differences between people get balanced out across the groups.
So differences at the end are likely due to the experiment itself.
That's the goal. Though sometimes random assignment isn't possible or ethical, depending on the question.
And in drug trials, they use placebos in the control group.
Right. An inactive substance. This controls for the placebo effect, where just believing you're getting a treatment can make you feel better. It helps isolate the drug's true pharmacological effect.
All these methods, it really highlights how important ethics are in this field.
Absolutely non-negotiable. You have ethics review committees or institutional review boards, IRBs, that scrutinize research proposals to protect participants.
And researchers need informed consent.
Yes, participants have to understand what the study involves, any potential risks, and know they can quit anytime, no coercion.
And keep everything confidential.
Utterly vital. Protecting privacy is paramount.
And these ethical rules apply to animal research, too.
Yes, very strict guidelines govern the use of animals, ensuring humane treatment. Such research is only done when the potential benefits are significant, and it can't ethically be done with humans.
Thinking about all this rigor, the methods, the ethics, It really comes back to critical thinking, doesn't it, for all of us, not just researchers?
Exactly. It's about not just passively accepting information. It means adopting a questioning attitude, weighing the evidence carefully, analyzing assumptions.
Being willing to challenge conventional wisdom, like the source material says, asking, how do we know that? Or what's the evidence for this claim?
That's the heart of it. Applying that kind of analysis to information we encounter every day.
Which brings us nicely to the end of this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground from psychology's roots and early debates.
Through its modern perspectives, who psychologists are, and crucially, how they know what they know through research.
We really hope this has given you, our listener, a clearer, richer picture of psychology, what it is, what it does, and why it matters.
And maybe something to chew on as you leave us. Think about that distinction we discussed between correlation and causation. What really stood out for you there?
Yeah, and how might understanding that difference, really getting it, change how you look at news headlines or health advice or even just arguments you hear online?
It's a powerful lens to bring to the world, a key part of that critical thinking.
It truly is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of psychology.